Premier and Finance Minister says the completion of a forensic audit revealed significant and systematic issues with the accounting practices in the Treasury Department that have resulted in an inaccurate representation of government's fiscal position and an environment that was conducive to fraudulent practices.
The BVI government financial statements are not completed in a timely manner and cannot properly inform financial and strategic decision-making. The reported statements of assets and liabilities are misleading and therefore cannot present a fair statement of the economic reality of the BVI government's financial position. 10 of 11 reported fund balances, which should represent amounts actually appropriated, transferred and available for specific uses, were incorrectly reported over the financial year 2008 to 2009. $113 million in public debt, as well as other significant obligations, were not reported on the face of the statement of assets and liabilities. As a result, these obligations are not reflected in the BVI government's net fiscal position. All the reported fund balances except the reserve fund at December 2011 misrepresented the actual fund balances available for government expenditure.
The forensic study conducted by PricewaterhouseCoopers began in September 2012 and was completed in January 2013. Dr. Smith outlined some of the irregularities identified by the forensic audit.
In respect to the government practices, some of the issues identified are: 1. There are serious deficiencies in the manner in which major contracts for development were procured, approved and awarded during 2011. 24 of the 27 major contracts executed during 2011 were awarded on sole basis by Cabinet without public tendering. 5 of a total of 27 contracts totaling some $2.1 million were not provided for in either the budgeted capital expenditure estimates or supplementary appropriation provisions for the year. The date of signature of 3 major contracts occurred before the Cabinet approval date. There was a practice of converting major contracts to petty contracts. There were 8 payments which exceeded $100,000, for which there were no contracts in the listing provided for in 2009, 2010, or 2011. Out of 42 payments received, 14 were made without the appropriate approvals. Madam Speaker, these are but some of the problems identified, and PricewaterhouseCoopers has made very specific recommendations on how they can be corrected. We have looked at these recommendations, agree with them, and intend to move forward to implement them urgently. Madam Speaker, this Honourable House will recall that my government initiated the Financial Management Reform Initiative in 2006. This initiative, Madam Speaker, was born out of a deep concern held by the Financial Secretary that the accounting practices of the Treasury Department and the wider civil service did not conform to established accounting standards, that the lines of accountability were blurred on the budget and the processes surrounding it was not appropriately transparent or binding.
As part of efforts to correct the accounting irregularities, government is moving ahead to implement the 21 recommendations proposed in the forensic audit. In light of this, government has engaged the Caribbean Regional Technical Assistance Center and PricewaterhouseCoopers for a 4 to 6 month period to correct the deficiencies in the Treasury Department and to implement the standard operating procedures and accounting practices.
We have appointed Ms. Kalisha Mendy of CARTAC to act as Accountant General in the firm PricewaterhouseCoopers as her support during this 4 to 6 month period of change. The mandate, in addition to correcting the current irregularities, is to transform the Treasury Department and establish the procedures and the practices necessary for this department to function as a modern and professional treasury fitting of the environment in which we currently operate.
The Premier says he expects that there will be higher standard of operations within the Treasury, Ministry of Finance, and other government finance-related departments. 2nd District Representative Alvin Christopher called for a debate of the forensic study that was tabled during the 7th sitting of the House of Assembly. The member regarded the study conducted by PricewaterhouseCoopers as damaging to the territory. House Speaker Ingrid Moses told 2nd District Representative that he will have an opportunity to debate the the details in the forensic report during a subsequent sitting of the House. Meanwhile, there has been a shakeup within the offices of the Accountant General. The Finance Minister says the Accountant General, Kaywood Fraser, has opted to retire, and the current Acting Accountant General, Anna Rapsat, has been reassigned to the Ministry of Finance and has yet to decide whether she wishes to return to the Treasury Department at the end of the exercise after she completes further academic and professional studies. The Acting Deputy Accountant General, Laurel Smith, retains her position under the mentorship of CARTAC and PwC. Dr. Smith also spoke to the government's commitment to work in tandem with the protocols for effective financial management that were signed in April 2012, and he says changes have been made with the procurement processes for government projects.